Yeah, so sorry about that. The video had actually cut out on me, froze for some reason. Anyways, I'm just going to do this in two parts. So yeah, I didn't see a lot of Joshi matches last year, or anything, or Japanese women's matches or anything like that. But of the women's matches that I did see, Rhea and Charlotte Flair was above and beyond the best women's match in North America last year. Um, so So we're going to go over the MVPs. This is a relatively new category. It's only been around for a couple of years in the Observer. U.S., Canada, most valuable, MJF, because MJF was the most valuable to the number 2 promotion. And like I said, he pretty much drove business and anchored AEW as a brand for the entire year. There was no wrestler more valuable to a single promotion singularly more than MJF. Japan MVP, I'm going to go with Okada. Okada's Okada. He's always going to help drive business. He's always going to have great matches. There's a reason why he's coveted here in North America, because he might be the most complete Japanese performer of all time as far as entertainment, physical attributes, promo style, matches, obviously. So yeah, the Rainmaker was the Japanese MVP, in my opinion. Mexican MVP, Vikingo. I don't think it's any question on that. Vikingo is the hottest star in Mexico, the hottest high-flying wrestler in the world right now. And once again, I would pick him as the MVP. European MVP, as I was stating before, Will Ospreay was the go-to indie guy, and that also meant that he was the go-to indie guy specifically in his home country promotion of Rev Pro. He was coming in there constantly and delivering great match after great match. So yet again, I would put Will Ospreay as the most valuable player, European wrestler. Non-heavyweight most valuable player, I'm going to call this a tie between Darby Allin and Hiromu Takahashi. Mostly because I really want these two to finally meet each other. This is a match that actually Takahashi has actually been calling for, and it's not happened yet. And I feel as if Sting leaving AEW and retiring, I think this is going to open things up for Darby Allin to maybe go do some different things. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe Darby Allin maybe goes to Japan on and off this year and maybe gets involved in the junior heavyweight division. Maybe that's the last big match series for Takahashi in the junior division, would be a series of matches against Darby Allin, and I'm assuming one of those matches would finally be at Forbidden Door. But I tell you what, those to me are the two best non-heavyweights in the world right now, Darby Allin and Hiromu Takahashi. So we'll look out for that this year. The women's wrestling MVP, as I was stating before, Rhea Ripley. She's got it all. She's got the looks. She's got the promo. She's got the in-ring ability. She's got the vignette ability as far as the acting with the Judgment Day. And she drives business, internet streams, clicks, attendance, you name it. Rhea Ripley offers it. She is a complete performer, and this year was her true coming out party as a complete pro wrestler slash sports entertainer. So Rhea Ripley was the most valuable player in women's wrestling. This is also an add-on award. I would say this is a Fightful Select award. This isn't in the Observer. But it's Women's Best In-Ring Performer, which I would say would go to the Ring of Honor World Champion, Athena. Athena regularly had a lot of great matches in Ring of Honor. She actually headlined a few pay-per-views with her main events, and they all delivered. As far as in-ring ability goes, there isn't much better out there. than the goddess Athena. So congratulations, Athena. You deserve that. And another one would be Best Women's Promo, also a Fightful Select Award that isn't included in the Observer. Timeless Toni Storm. Just a tremendous gimmick, and the thought and detail and attention she put into her promos and delivering little Easter egg style lines that people had to like go back and go, what did she mean by that, or what did she say there? Just it was just brilliant. So I'm gonna say she has the best promos. Traditional promo style, I would say it would probably be Rhea or Becky would be the best promos in a traditional style. But as far as a gimmick-infused promo, Toni Storm kind of rose above everybody, I think, this year. So, feud of the year. I was talking about this a little bit earlier, but I would say it's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline. From January through April, we had 2 singles matches with each of them against Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief. There's lots of drama involved there. It was basically the number one storyline in WWE for the first 4 months of the year, all culminating in Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens triumphantly winning the World Tag Team titles from the Usos at Night 1 of WrestleMania. And like I said, that feud and those matches absolutely drove business through the first quarter or 2 quarters last year. So it wasn't without a doubt that is the truth. Also, an honorable mention for the Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar feud. There was 3 tremendous matches between them after WrestleMania through SummerSlam, so didn't really want to forget about that. And AEW feuds, I would say the best one to me last year was probably Hangman and Jon Moxley. That was a pretty solid feud, actually. So, most improved. I'm actually going to break this down into 2. Most improved female, Julia Hart. Obviously, this culminated in her winning the TBS title. But she's improved greatly in-ring. There's still a lot of strides to be made as far as her in-ring goes, but her character work, her promo work, her presence, all shot up through the moon, through the roof this year. So kudos to Julia Hart on really figuring out a lot of things this year. There's still a lot of improving to do with her, but we just barely scratched the surface with Julia Hart, I believe. The next one would be Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio, I think, was kind of in limbo during the pandemic era because there was no reaction from the crowd, so you couldn't really gauge how well he was doing or anything. Once they actually allowed fans back in, that really let him really start to progress as far as his in-ring and his character work. And he got the reps in, he was working house shows, he was working TV, he was working multiple times a week. He was going down to NXT, doing work down there. So the leaps and bounds that he made this year was just astounding. As well as being despised, by the fan base, he was actually a pretty reliable worker for the company, actually. So Dom Mysterio, my most improved male of the year. Most charismatic, Cody Rhodes. Like I said, Cody Rhodes proved this year that he's a larger-than-life character himself, just like his father was, a different kind of larger-than-life character, and just similar to a Roman Reigns even, Roman Reigns is larger than life, but I think Cody was just so popular this year. People just love Cody. There's not really many people out there who dislike Cody, honestly, especially this WWE run that he's been making. It's been magical and perfect. Other than not beating Roman, for the title last year, which hopefully they rectify here in April. Most charismatic, the Bryan Danielson Award, once again goes to Bryan Danielson, and the highlight of that, of course, was the 5+ star match he had against Zack Sabre Jr. at WrestleDream this year. Just spectacular stuff, and like I said, you can go down the line and week to week, match to match, and you can see the excellence every week. And it's clear, he is the best technical wrestler in the world. The Bruiser Brody Brawler Award, I think this could have gone to a number of people. You could have Hangman made a case this year. Ishii always makes a case. Moxley has won it in the past as well as Ishii. But I'm going to go a little bit out on a limb here and say Brawler of the Year. Maybe necessarily he's not known as a brawler, but he had a lot of meat slapping matches and a lot of brutal physical encounters this year. Gunther, man. I mean, Gunther, man. He's just the level of physicality involved in a Gunther match to me almost makes me think of him as a brawler in a sense, really. He's not a traditional brawler, I would say, but just that whole European, Japanese style that he brings to the ring in WWE, the biggest company in the world, makes him stand out from everybody else in WWE because nobody else is out there doing these types of matches there. So to me, Gunther, which is the best brawler in all of pro wrestling, and also one of the most versatile wrestlers in all of pro wrestling. Best flying wrestler, Vikingo. He has been for a while now. There's a few other guys out there who are getting close or are also very entertaining from that in that sense, but Vikingo is still the king of the high flyers right now. So until somebody comes and takes the crown, he is the man. Best wrestling maneuver. I would say the best wrestling maneuver this year. I don't really like voting for best maneuver. There's so many good ones out right now, but one that always pops me is Ospreay's Hidden Blade, as well as Kenny's One Wing Angel. But Ospreay and the Hidden Blade, I believe, to me is that move that I just love to see. So I'm going to go with the Hidden Blade again. It's probably a cop-out. If I really thought about this, I could probably come up with something better. But that's just right off the top of my head here. Most overrated, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho to me is at this point, I mean, he's always been so consistent throughout his whole career. And it's, he still has a lot of great matches. But I feel like he's kind of grated on people to the point by the end of this year where I think people were very unexcited about the Golden Jet storyline, really. And then, of course, the whole thing with, the Kylie Ray thing. People soured on him even more. The never-ending face turn, heel turn situation with Sammy Guevara, the never-ending feud with Don Callis. I feel as if, as a performer, Jericho's kind of got stale, and he's worn out his welcome a little bit, I believe, in wrestling right now. Most underrated, Will Hobbs. They still give him a big win here and there. He still has wins. It's not as if he doesn't get wins and he doesn't look good, but they just don't focus on him. He doesn't appear enough. He's just a lot like Takeshita, who won this last year. I mean, it's just underrated because he's just not being used. I guess it's just a symptom of AEW having too much talent to focus on. I don't know. It's just Will Hobbs gets lost in the shuffle apparently, but the guy's money. I mean, everybody knows that Powerhouse Hobbs has money, and he had one of the best new gimmicks, new slogans of the year: "Big, Black, and Jacked." I mean, fucking on his shirt, it's great. So I don't know. I really don't know what the deal with that is. So Rookie of the year, I think it was, I'm going to say it's a tie between Lola Weiss and Saul Luca, I believe is her name. Two very young, promising female wrestlers in NXT who both look like surefire stars. So we're going to give the rookies of the year, co-rookies of the year to them. Best non-wrestler, Paul Heyman. It was pretty close this year. I thought Prince Nana had a really good, strong year as a non-wrestler. But Paul Heyman, involved in the Bloodline storyline and the vignettes backstage, his presence, his influence on this whole storyline is just immeasurable. So yet again, with all his wealth and knowledge and experience and brilliance, Paul yet again wins non-wrestler of the year. He's a brilliant orator, one of the best storytellers in all of wrestling. And like I said, he might be the guy to take over the booking if for some reason Triple H loses the job for some reason, maybe due to this whole Vince McMahon thing. You never know. But if it was me and Paul was out, Triple H Levesque was out, then you got to bring in Paulie Dangerously Heyman, obviously, the King of Extreme, ex-owner of ECW. The guy still got it as far as storytelling goes. They're just utilizing him in the place that they need him the most. And it's the thing that changed the business as far as it turned around the business for WWE was the Bloodline storyline. And, he had a lot to do with that. Best TV announcer, Michael Cole. Finally, Michael Cole gets his due. Vince isn't around screaming in his ear anymore. He's actually allowed to call the matches and say the moves now and actually sound like he knows what he's talking about, which a lot of people didn't realize. He always knew what he was talking about. It's just they never let him say it. So that's the brilliance of Vince McMahon for you. Hey, say less, guy. Who cares about the names of the move there, pal? It's like, really? Okay, Vince. Anyway, so Michael Cole, I feel like he got a lot of vindication this year. And on behalf of all the wrestling fans out there, I want to apologize to Michael Cole. We've been hard on you for 20, 25 years now. But obviously it wasn't your fault. So you're forgiven and don't have a problem giving you this award when you deserve it. So kudos. Worst TV announcer, Tony Schiavone. I don't know. Tony just, I don't really like, he says, I don't like 80% of what he says on television. He sounds like, I don't know. I respect the guy and everything, and he did go out and learn a lot of the names of the moves and stuff. I'll give him credit for that, at least updating his information and his knowledge. But a lot of times he's just saying the most boneheaded shit on commentary, and sometimes I'm just shaking my head like, why are you saying that? It just sounds so stupid. Worst announcer, Tony Schiavone. I could do without Tony being on the commentary team. I don't mind him as an interviewer or behind the scenes, obviously. But being on the telecast and doing the announcing, I don't know, just not into it. Best major wrestling show, All In. Now, usually I would go with the show that had the best wrestling on it, which to me actually probably was All Out a week later, or possibly Revolution that happened earlier in the year. But just from a pure spectacle standpoint, from a pure feat standpoint, just the idea that they pulled All In off this year with 81,000 fans or 81,000 tickets sold, and basically put on a WrestleMania level super show, super event, is still just awe-inspiring. And for that alone, I'm gonna make sure to say that it's the best major show of the year. Worst major wrestling show, I believe it was want to say I'm pretty sure it was Fastlane. For some reason I didn't have it marked in here for some reason. But Fastlane, I believe it was the one. I'm gonna say it's the one where they had Roman and Solo versus the Usos. That show was just rather weak overall. I didn't really like the show. So, yeah. Or it might have been Backlash, actually. I'm not sure. Let me go back. I'll amend that later. But honestly, it's really not that important to me to, like, say the worst show of the year. Like, there's a lot of negativity out there in wrestling. I'm sure there's a lot of bad shows this year. But, yeah, I mean, no point in pointing out, like, how bad a show was. There are a few stinkers out there, though. I'm going to have to amend this maybe in the comments or in the info for that. I'll amend that. Most disgusting promotional tactic. I mean, it's got to be the NWA cocaine spot, doesn't it, guys? I mean, what else could it be? I mean, it's just, you're talking about fucking blunders, man. That's the biggest blunder I've ever seen. Honestly, like, what was Billy Corgan thinking? Like, seriously, man. Like, wow. Bad. Just horrible. Anyways, worst TV show, I'm going to say it's AEW Rampage. Just a lot of throwaway matches on there. They didn't take the show seriously. Very rarely did they have like big money matches on that show. They had a few times this year where they did that, but a lot of times it was just kind of a throwaway show. It was equivalent of almost like WWE main event. You know, it was the C show. You know, they didn't really put a lot of great matches on there. So from that perspective, I'm going to say Rampage was the worst show of the year. And this is more of a protest vote to AEW, like, hey guys, you got to do better with that hour on Friday night. I mean, some weeks it's great, some weeks you're just like, well, that was kind of a waste of an hour. So, yeah, they really just need to improve Rampage and Collision both, like, immensely. Yeah, they're just not taking it serious enough, those two programs. Worst gimmick of the year, The Outcast. I was just bored with it, honestly. It was just like,